Rookie wide receivers around the National Football League are finding out about those rookie woes. Will stop by New Orleans and the New York Jets.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is happening, good people? Welcome to Locked On NFL here in the barbershop. I'm Tony Wiggins. He is my main man, Kevin Oestreicher from Locked On Ravens. Today's show is brought to you and sponsored by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer this Major League Baseball season. We're about to hit a home run on this show, hopefully, man. Let me tell you where we're going and where we're going to end up. Rookie impressive in Philadelphia on the offensive line. Oh, what's new? Right in the middle of the show, Colts, Falcons, and Cowboys all add veterans to try to help them throughout this season. We can talk about veterans earlier. We're talking about young dudes, rookies, wide receivers. One in New Orleans, Jordyn Tyson, who was hurt a lot in college. Well, he's going to miss 2 months. We're going to get started with him, and we're going to also talk about Omar Cooper. Man, look, Kevin, you know about rookie wideouts. Everybody's talking about the Baltimore Ravens rookie wideout receiver and how he's making all of this noise and doing all well. Can you imagine being a team like the New Orleans Saints that take a guy in the top 10 that everyone says had injury issues, and then all of a sudden what happens in training camp? Another injury issue.
Well, I mean, can't say that, like, it's like, I feel bad, obviously. Like, I hope that he's able to get well soon. But, I mean, the medicals were there. The past injuries were there. The time missed was there. And, you know, it's interesting because this was a different injury than the one that had sidelined him at Arizona State and everything. But I'm just like, that's not, like, great news either. Like, you know, it's still bad. So, I don't know. It is tough because I think that New Orleans clearly has a vision for Tyler Shuck and just surrounding him with all these weapons. They go out there, get Travis Etienne, and, you know, they like Oscar Delp over there as well. They have a lot of guys, but, you know, now you're kind of just back to the drawing board a little bit in your wide receiver room. It's not like he's going to miss the entire season, which is good. I hope he's back as soon as possible. But, yeah, I mean, you take a guy with injury issues or who's injury prone, and, you know, it's not necessarily shocking, unfortunately.
Yeah, it ain't shocking, but it's also, like you said, it's bad luck, you know, a little bit misfortune. But, you know, the vultures are going to come out and say, you shouldn't have picked him. He's injury prone. Well, at least let Ross Jackson explain this to you.
Well, that stinks for the New Orleans Saints. An injury that they hoped would be minor has taken a turn for the worst, as rookie wide receiver Jordyn Tyson is now expected to miss upwards of 2 months, according to reports, with a hamstring injury, albeit a different injury than the one that he suffered at Arizona State and re-aggravated during his pre-draft process. But things not trending in the direction that the New Orleans Saints, and certainly Jordyn Tyson, who's looked very explosive and very good all throughout training camp, were hoping. The good news for New Orleans is that they got him through the entire installation process, and so when he hits the ground, he should be able to hit it running. And the other good news for the Saints on offense is that, well, they got a lot of weapons. Chris Olave, Devon Vele, Juwan Johnson. They already know that the New Orleans Saints passing attack works with those three guys and Tyler Shuck. They've also added running back Travis Etienne Jr. and, of course, overloaded the wide receiver position in the draft with guys like Bryce Lance and Barryon Brown, and are getting some nice performances from some of the veteran depth guys they have at that position. So the Saints should be able to manage an offense without Jordyn Tyson and then allow him to be a little bit of a shot in the arm when he does return. The big question that everyone's going to be wondering, though, when is that return and how long can he stick around once he does?
Ross Jackson just made that sound. I promise you, if something goes wrong with me, I want Ross Jackson to try to explain to my family what's going on, because he almost made me feel like ain't nothing going on. Here's the truth, though. It is problematic. They have all of those weapons, and they still used a top pick on him, even though this is an ideal situation too, man, because Chris Olave is the $140-some-odd million man. You draft a dude in the top 10, and he ain't even got to be the savior. He just has to be himself and be available. Good job, Ross, explaining it. But if I'm a Saints fan, I'm not feeling too good about that. And if I'm a Jets fan, I'm not feeling too good about something else. And what that is Kenyon Sadiq, their tight end that they drafted in the first round, well, he was banged up. Now, the Jets had 3 first-round picks. The third one was Omar Cooper Jr., who I was a big fan of coming out. Sometimes every rookie doesn't start out the way he's going to end up. And so far, Omar Cooper Jr. has been a little bit missing in action. Here's John Butchko from Locked On Jets.
I'm not really sure what's going on with Omar Cooper. He worked with the second-team offense on Friday in the preseason opener while Isaiah Williams and Adonai Mitchell were with the starters. I guess this is the point where I'm supposed to have like a huge take. Either this is no big deal, people are blowing it out of proportion, or it's time to panic, Cooper's way behind. We don't really know what's going on right now, though. I doubt the Jets developed both Mitchell and Williams into good starters this offseason. I know Mitchell's got potential. I love Williams as a return guy. I really doubt, though, that they turned both of those guys into good starters. So what's going on with Cooper? Is he a little behind? Well, if he does, he has time to make it up, and I thought he played pretty well in the Friday preseason opener against Tampa Bay. Are the Jets maybe trying to motivate him? Will he be in the starting lineup for week 2 against the Steelers? I hope so, because they really need him to have a good rookie season. Let me know what you think.
Here, I'm going to tell you what I think, Butchko. I think when you pick a dude in the first round, you damn well better be preparing him to be a starter no matter what's already there. And this is what a lot of people looked at with the Jets. They're like, man, y'all one of the worst teams in the league. Why are you drafting a tight end and a wide receiver when you already have a number 1 wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, and you traded for Adonai Mitchell last year, and you gave up he was a part of the deal where you gave up Sauce Gardner. So I'm going to push back a little bit on that. You do expect your dudes that you draft early in the first round to be better than that, especially if you're a team like the New York Jets, where everybody might get fired if they don't show up really, really fast.
Yeah, and I do think the Jets needed to address their wide receiver spot. You know, it felt like Garrett Wilson and friends for the last handful of years. But, you know, with that being said, like you did spend a really high draft pick on this guy, even if it was towards the end of the first round, it's still a first-round pick. And you need to, you know, get decently immediate production. I'm not saying he has to come in and be Jamar Chase off the bat, but like at least a compliment to Garrett Wilson. And I mean, that I think is what the Jets are trying to do here is like, my plan for them would be have all these offensive weapons. You know, you're not going to win a Super Bowl this year, in my opinion. There's a great quarterback class coming up. You know, you kind of get a foundation down of really talented pass catchers and weapons for whoever that 2027 quarterback would be. But like, if it's not like if Omar Cooper, and again, I'm not going to like call Omar Cooper Jr. a bust after his rookie season if it doesn't go well, but like you would like to see some like, oh, hey, this is why we drafted you type moments. And you don't want to be in the same spot that you were last season. And then, you know, Garrett Wilson goes down for games and you're just like, all right, well, who's catching the ball right now in New York? You know, you had to rely on, you know, a few guys that were trying to revive their careers, or you mentioned, you know, Adonai Mitchell in the trade. So Omar Cooper, I think, is going to play a big role, hopefully, for the Jets this year, but he needs to start making some plays because I think building momentum in training camp is really important.
Maybe Omar Cooper is used to catching balls from Fernando Mendoza, and he's like Geno Smith, and this ain't quite what I'm kind of used to. You know, the ball kind of has a better look when it comes to, I don't know what it is, but they better get some production or people going to wear them out about this draft selection. There's some teams that say we ain't worried about young guys. We want old guys. The Cowboys, Falcons, for different reasons, and the Colts all make a move into the veteran free agent market. We'll discuss that in just a second here in the barbershop on Locked On NFL.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On Saints podcast, and today's Locked On episode is brought to you by our friends at Basque and Lather. I've been using Basque and Lather's all-natural, 100% organic hair care products for my beard for a couple years now, and it's been a lifesaver because I used to have some bad beard care habits. I'm talking over-the-counter shampoo in the beard type stuff that created this brittle, scratchy, and uncomfortable beard that I just had to wear around all the time. But now the game done changed. Thanks to Basque and Lather, I got their beard care starter kit, which gave me shampoo, conditioner, oil balm, and their hair growth stimulator formula as well. And now my beard is full. It's soft but strong, and the confidence is on 10, and it's all thanks to Bask and Lather. Explore viral bestsellers and products of healthier hair of all types from Bask and Lather. Go to baskandlatherco.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON for 20% off. That's 20% off at baskandlatherco.com, code LOCKEDON.
Sticking a move in here with my main man, Kevin Oestreicher, riding shotgun here in the barbershop. I don't know how you ride shotgun in the barbershop, but we figuring it out. We getting through it, man. we riding out, as they say. And some other teams are going to ride out. Quick note, the Dallas Cowboys, we'll talk about them a little bit later in their new defense, how they did this weekend before they made a deal to sign the legend, the future Hall of Famer, Von Miller, to a one-year deal. Von Miller had 9 sacks last year. I cannot believe he had that many sacks, but he was sitting out there waiting for a deal, and now he's going to help the Dallas Cowboys out. Za'Darius Smith got a deal. He was another one of those guys we were worried about and how that was going to play out. So Jalen Walker goes down with an injury. He's going to miss the season for the Falcons. That's the first of their 2 first-round picks from 2025 that are edge rushers. James Pierce gets in the world of trouble in the offseason, and you guys, if you don't know, Google that. And I'm shocked that he's going to even play this year, but the commissioner says only 8 games. So now the Falcons had to go out and get Big Z. And here's my man Aaron Freeman to tell you about it from Locked On Falcons.
The Falcons are bringing in Za'Darius Smith, a.k.a. Big Z, to bolster a faltering pass rush thanks to his season-ending injury to Jalen Walker and an 8-game suspension of James Pierce. Smith is coming off a 1.5 sack season in 5 games with the Eagles last year before deciding to hang up the cleats, but he decided that he still has some football left in him as he approaches his 34th birthday this September. Smith had 9 sacks in 2024, and the Falcons are hoping to get that level of production in 2026. And what makes this different from the last time the Falcons signed a veteran pass rusher in mid-August 2 years ago with Matthew Judon, trading a third for him, and he finished that season with a lackluster 5.5 sacks. But Judon was forced to play in Jimmy Lake's decrepit scheme, and now Smith gets to benefit from Jeff Ulbricht's superior defensive scheme, and he played in a similar scheme, was productive in Cleveland under Jim Schwartz for 23 and 24, having 10.5 sacks in 25 games. And granted, yes, he was playing opposite Myles Garrett, but don't worry about any of that, right? This is an annual tradition, right? The Falcons need all the help they can get when it comes to the pass rush, and at least for now, we're very optimistic that Big Z will provide.
Big Z, that's kind of a Baltimore Ravens edition. Did he ever play for Baltimore? It sounds like he's a dude. He played for Baltimore, right?
He was drafted by the Ravens, yeah.
See there, because he looks like somebody who was drafted and played for the Ravens, and he looks like somebody I thought they might go back and get, but apparently you guys got your pass rush fixed. But Big Z, he's going to help out in Atlanta. Big Z, by the way, he's going to love Atlanta. If you know anything about Za'Darius Smith, he's a consummate professional, but he likes to hang out a little bit too. He's going to really, really enjoy the Falcons. You think this helps them any, or is this just another stopgap for him?
Well, I think they needed him, and it's interesting because this is not the first or maybe even second time that something like this has happened with Za'Darius, where all reports indicated he was going back to Cleveland, and then Atlanta kind of swoops in at the last second and gets him out of retirement here. And obviously that happened a handful of years ago when he was going to re-sign with the Ravens, and then he backed out of his deal to go sign with Minnesota just a couple days after. So nothing new there. But yeah, I mean, Atlanta's going through the old Ravens pass rushers. Matt Judon drafted by Baltimore. They had Calais for I think a year or two, and now Za'Darius there. But yeah, I mean, again, I don't know how big of a boost it will be. I don't think Za'Darius is the same Za'Darius from 3 or 4 years ago. But at the same time, after their situation, losing a guy, having James Pierce suspended, they needed somebody. So I'm not shocked that this came to fruition.
Yep, no doubt about it. You know who else needed somebody after trading away Michael Pittman? I believe that. Michael Pittman went to Pittsburgh, right?
Yep.
The Colts. We just talked about him trading Adonai Mitchell last year to the Jets. course, they got a couple of nice receivers, and I know everybody's wondering who's going to be throwing the ball. If there's Daniel Jones, Daniel Jones is back, but the Colts got them some help with a route runner supreme, Keenan Allen. This happened right before we decided to record today. Here's Locked On Colts.
Breaking news for the Indianapolis Colts this evening as they agreed to a one-year contract worth up to $8.3 million with wide receiver Keenan Allen. So Keenan Allen, the move that we have speculated all offseason is finally happening. He is reuniting with Shane Steichen, who he worked with back with the Los Angeles Chargers a few years ago. And this move adds a little bit more depth to the Colts wide receiver room. A lot of Colts fans have been screaming and crying about Ashton Dulin potentially being a starter this year and the team being one injury away from Nick Westbrook-Akina and Laquan Treadwell potentially starting games. So now adding the veteran presence in Keenan Allen adds that depth on the outside and also gives them a player who can play some Z snaps on those obvious passing down situations. Keenan Allen's coming off a year where he had very similar receiving numbers to Michael Pittman Jr., so he slides into that role next to Alec Pierce, next to Josh Downs, and gives a little bit more relief at the wide receiver position. So we'll talk all about this move here on the next episode of Locked On Colts. But yes, Keenan Allen is officially an Indianapolis Colt. The move, again, that we've all speculated all offseason has finally happened.
The Colts are one of the teams that I consider a real enigma for me to figure out. And it's not because they play in the division with the Jaguars and I'm some biased person. If I was going to be biased to a team in my division, it would be the other two teams. It would be Houston and Tennessee. It wouldn't have anything to do with the guy. I ain't got no smoke for Indy, but it just seems like it's hard to figure out it's hard to even figure out who's going to be coaching them next year. And the way that they're going about business, it just – something bothers me about this situation.
What's your pecking order in the division right now?
Oh, well, it's us, and that's the Jaguars, then the Texans, and it's close. And then I'm going to go with the Titans this year, although I might be backtracking on that if Cam Ward continues to play the way he's playing. But I just feel better. Maybe the Colts are better right now, but I kind of feel that in the future, because I'm a macro type of person, that I can see the future looking better for the Titans than I do see it for the Colts.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think for Indy, I just don't know where they're at. Like,
see, you can't even figure it out. That's the point is, I ain't never seen you tongue tied. And you said for Indy and sat there and went. So you don't. That's whatever that was you just did. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Kevin. It's hard to. You're just like they're just there.
Yeah, and I don't really know what to make of it because, like, I feel like they're trying to go for it, but at the same time, they just don't have the roster to even just when you talk about contenders in the AFC. I mean, their roster just isn't as balanced enough for me with star talent as it kind of needs to be for that. And I don't know. It's just like Jonathan Taylor's awesome. They have DeForest Buckner and
good.
I don't know. It felt like re-signing Alec Pierce to that big deal. I get it. They had to keep him. But it's almost like what Pittsburgh did where they're trading away guys and bringing in guys at the same time. And I'm just kind of like, okay, well, what direction are you going in? And Daniel Jones had an awesome year last year before he got injured. But is Daniel Jones the guy to lead this team to a Super Bowl? So I don't know. I do feel like they're kind of stuck in no man's land right now. That's
I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna see a lot of. You see me doing. If y'all can't see me, if you're listening, I'm sitting there holding this little legal pad with my pen. That's what Ms. Irsay Mrs. Irsay is going to be doing again on the field all next year. And the first thing she might write is, "We gotta fire Shane Steichen." That's what I think is gonna happen with that situation, man, because they definitely need some direction. Philly. I was wondering if they were going to find another offensive lineman the way they seemed to the entire time that the guru Jeff Stoutland was their offensive line coach. They struggled last year. Oh, but they might have got back on the wagon and hit another home run with that. We'll talk about that and a little bit more here on Locked On NFL. All right, y'all, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. Man, I know you heard about Daily Dingers. If you haven't, I'm going to tell you right now, it's baseball season. It's in full swing. And you know what? If you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra innings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the Major League Baseball season. I was laying in my bed the other day watching the Braves game, and Ronald Acuna comes up. I said, he was hurt. I wonder when he's going to get back on it. And right as I thought I should be doing daily dingers, bang, he knocks one out of the park. Yeah, you don't need to be like me and be late. Get it done early. So if you're ready to play your game today, join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. All right, Kev, let's walk it on down the avenue, man, and get to the point where we need to be. And that is, well, I really wish it was total leather time. I wish football was here, but it's just the preseason, man. We got to wait and braid this thing out about 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks, Kevin. We finally get real NFL action. Philadelphia Eagles, though, they're trying to make sure that they can make a little bit of a comeback after winning the Super Bowl in 2024. One of the things that they want to continue to do is shore up the offensive line. But there's a big old kid in their camp from the University of Miami who's huge, 6'9", 340 some odd pounds. And Louis thinks that they found something. Check this out from Lou DiBiase from Locked On Eagles.
Right tackle Markell Bell, the Eagles' 3rd-round rookie. I thought he was actually the best offensive lineman in that game. There was a play, a Will Shipley first down run. Very few explosive plays in this game, as I mentioned earlier. Cole Payton was like the only guy creating anything. Will Shipley, though, had a couple nice runs in the second quarter, and that was because of Markell Bell. He had a seal block on the right side of the offensive line that sprung Will Shipley loose, and he picked up one of the few first downs of the game for the Eagles, and Markell Bell got low. He beat his edge rusher low, just moved him like he was absolutely nothing to the right sidelines, and then Bell points forward like it's a first down, which I thought was really cool. There were a couple really nice blocking wins he had against former Ravens second-round pick Mike Green, who last year some people thought could be a first-round talent.
Hey, man, look, Markell Bell is so big and was so good on that Miami line. People were wondering, okay, what is he? Because anytime you see someone 6'8" or bigger, you think Jonathan Ogden, and the first thing you think is, he ain't no Jonathan Ogden, right? But some people think linemen that are that tall are also too tall because defensive linemen are able to get leverage because they're getting underneath them. Markell Bell proven it wrong so far. It's only one game, but the standard in Philadelphia for offensive line play is high. He is their backup right tackle behind future Hall of Famer Lane Johnson. There's a lot of good people to learn from, doesn't he?
Yeah, a very nice path potentially to, starting his NFL career out. And, obviously Lane is the guy this year, but you're right. I think it is a great guy to learn from and, just kind of sit and continue to absorb knowledge about the NFL and kind of learn how it all works. And, I think with offensive linemen, preseason is one of the only opportunities that you have over the course of a year if you're not starting to get like real action against other people. It's not like other positions where sometimes if you're a rookie, you can get, a handful of snaps here and there. If things, if a guy goes down or if a guy needs a break, offensive linemen usually play like 100% of the snaps. So you're not really getting opportunities. It's really important for these guys to take advantage in the preseason. And look, I watched the game between Philly and Baltimore. He was doing a lot of good things out there. And he's someone that I had on my radar for the Ravens. I have a lot of people on my radar for the Ravens. He was one of them. You do. And I think Philly did get a good one. And yeah, I get it. He's a mountain of a man. He's massive. But I do think that guys like that, if coached up properly, if they have the right traits, can be really, really good as we've seen over the years. And I am hoping that for the Eagles' sake, Markell Bell can be a nice succession plan for Lane Johnson when it's all said and done.
Listen, nobody's had more good fortune or done a good job as the Eagles with finding people, because they had Jason Peters, who probably end up in Canton also, but now their left tackle is Jordan Mailata. Have you ever heard anyone say, how big is, okay, he's 6'8", 365. And he ain't even the biggest dude on their team. Weight-wise, yeah, but there's another dude that's more all airport than him. Markell Bell is 6'9", 346 pounds. Kevin, y'all got a big old dude up there in Baltimore playing left guard. Now, you might not want to talk about it, but I want to bring it up. Don't y'all got that kid from Minnesota up there struggling? And he's like 6'8", 362, right? Isn't he?
Falele, he's in New York with Harbaugh now.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, there you go. I wanted to bring it up. He said, oh, no. He's gone. He's
already gone viral in New York for the same stuff he did in Baltimore last year. So Shannon Sharp already let him have it again. So
yeah, man, you got to figure it out. Well, you know what? You got to do stuff like that because the Dallas Cowboys in their new defense, they're loading up, man, with Christian Parker as the defensive coordinator. They're still trying to replace Michael Parsons. They got Von Miller, but they also got some good play from some other young players. Listen to the guys from Locked On Cowboys talk about that, and then we'll get a little Ravens report from Kevin.
I thought that, for being a first week preseason game, it was actually pretty clean. There definitely were some penalties that we need to clean up, and we'll talk about some of that at a certain point. But I thought that, at least on the Cowboys side, you had two quarterbacks that played. I thought both of them moved the ball pretty well. The offense looked efficient overall. The running game was it developed as the game was going. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you gave up an early touchdown drive honestly, even that was buoyed by two questionable penalties that were called. And then outside of that, you didn't give up any other points and you basically tackled really well and you looked generally competent.
Offense ain't going to be the thing about Dallas. It's going to be their defense and whether or not that defense can be a little bit better. Well, let's say a lot better than they were in the past. Maybe not championship level, but close enough. And they're trying to do it by adding a whole bunch of players. Now, we can flip that around a little bit and say, well, the offense in Baltimore is depending on a better offensive line this year and maybe a young receiver or two. It's just all new in Baltimore. Kevin, give us about a minute and a half or 2 minutes of what is going on in training camp for the Lamar Jackson-led Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, lots of exciting things with all the newness that's going on right now. And, I really liked in the first preseason game, you're not going to open up your entire playbook in week one of the preseason, but I think that we did see, especially on offense, the vision for what Declan Doyle, the new Ravens offensive coordinator, wants to do, where, Lamar and a lot of the starters did not play in this game, but the purpose of incorporating screen passes and the short passing game, rolling the quarterback out, working guys open that way, I could see what they wanted to do. And I think it's really exciting thinking about Lamar being there and Derrick Henry in the backfield with Zay Flowers and these other younger receivers out there. So, they've been working every day. It is different because, there hasn't been a time in the last 18 years where they've had to kind of work on new systems and get everything down like that. They have had different coordinators, obviously, but it's all different right now in Baltimore. So I think that the energy is high still. They played with a lot of physicality and intensity and energy, electricity, whatever word you want to say. They played with it on Saturday against the Eagles. They put a beat down on them. So I'm really excited for, they have joint practices coming up with Minnesota tomorrow, back-to-back days, Wednesday, Thursday. So that'll be good. They'll have them with the Commanders the week after. So I think that even if we don't see a lot of these Ravens starters play in the preseason, which I don't think we're going to, those will be the opportunities where these starters will get the opportunity to go up against some other competition.
So you asked me, so I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you back on the spot. It's tit for tat right here in the barbershop. You rank that division you're in. Go 1 through 4. You tell me about the NFC North. The AFC North.
1 through 4. I still have Baltimore number 1.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
I'm very bullish on them this season. I have Cincy at number 2. Again, I think how many times have I come on here, Wig, and talking about the Bengals? They didn't improve their defense. They did it. So I got to give them credit for it. Number 3, I'll go Pittsburgh. I liked some of the moves they made this offseason, but the Aaron Rodgers one, maybe they just didn't have a choice, but I'm just not very confident in Aaron Rodgers this season, and the defense is getting older at certain positions. And then Cleveland at number 4. I mean, when you trade Myles Garrett, you're not trying to win. So, I mean, I think that the plan is much more long-term in Cleveland right now.
Yeah, I like how when you get to Cleveland, you just, it's whatever. Yeah. It's almost like you want to put, would you like to donate? Yeah, take the change and put it in there.
I will say they have a lot of bright young offensive talent on there. I mean, if they can get a quarterback in 2027, I mean, they might be cooking with something. But for now, I don't think they're doing anything this year.
Yeah, cooking is like they're trying to fry with water in their frying pan, bro. It ain't gonna turn out like they want it to turn out. We'll see, though. Although I think they should do a Sanders, because I think the young cat gives you the best chance to win. Your best chance to win, period, is to hang out with us here on the Locked On Podcast Network, because that's what we do. Check out Kevin on Locked On Ravens, and then as these rosters start to change, like the one I got from training camp today in Jacksonville, make sure you know who those players are, and I got somebody who will tell you who they are. Locked On NFL Scouting with Joe Marino and Kyle Krabs. They will make you smarter as a fan, and they got episodes in the archives, man, where they probably talk about people that are on your roster and that are fringe players. There are 90 people right now on every roster. There's only going to be 53, so that's 37 people. You need to figure out if they're going to make it or not. You're going to make it with us here every single day on Locked On NFL, because it is your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen, and we never take you for granted. We'll see you next time.